everybody. Welcome to our CEO Insight series. My name is Catherine Harrington. I'm the very proud president and CEO of the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce. And today we have Todd McDonald with ATW Training Solutions. So thank you, Todd, for being here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
So tell us about ATW Training Solutions. It sounds
Sure.
like you do a lot. So tell us about you and how you serve the community. Yes.
Well, you know, we've been in business now for 24 years.
Nice.
We're excited that we just started our 24th year, and I'm excited to make it to that 25-year that plateau there to get to that point. So we've got a fantastic team. We've got about 15 or 20 individuals that work, and we serve Central Iowa area, but we also do a lot of work in a regional, national, and international basis.
Wow.
As well.
Okay.
Last year in 2021, we don't have it all quite figured out for 2022, but in 2021 we serviced over participants in over 21 different countries last year. So we just enjoy what we do. We focus in on really helping organizations maximize their human assets. So our mission is to unleash the human potential in organizations. And by doing that, that's going to make the organizations more successful. It's going to make the people more successful. And so we're really working with those organizations to look at and say, what can we do to improve their skills, to improve their success, and everybody wins.
So that's really broad. Tell us about how you do that in particular.
Sure,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we do it in a couple of different ways. Obviously, we will go into organizations and we'll do training programs.
Okay.
So we'll do training programs on leadership. We do things with authors like Ken Blanchard on situational leadership, and Patrick Lencioni on the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team, and then we'll do other things like crucial conversations or the DISC behavioral style. So we'll go in and we'll actually do, I think last year, or actually in 2022, we'll do about 500 different training sessions for different organizations, face-to-face and virtual. Okay. So we'll do the live training sessions. We also have an area within our organization that we call our design services area, and that's where we'll work with organizations that on very job-specific training. So we do training for a very large tire manufacturer, and so we'll do training on how to patch holes and retread tires for their organizations, or they happen to own a chain of oil change stores, and so we create an e-learning program. So if they hire a new employee and they want to teach them how to change oil in cars that come in their way, we create an e-learning program. So that employee that comes on board, we create the e-learning program. So all across the world in their chains, somebody will come in and they'll go through that training. So the impact that we have is not just here in Central Iowa, but is all over the place.
So it can be truly customizable, like
absolutely,
big time.
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
Neat.
Yeah.
So you must have quite an incredible studio to do all these things, right? Sounds amazing.
Yeah. We have the opportunity to do everything from writing the scripts to producing the videos, like what we're doing, like what we're doing here today, to doing translation. Actually, what's funny right now, it's interesting what we're going through right now is there's a new law, new regulations up in Canada about French. They're really primed to promote, and I forget what they call it. It's a certain law, and it has a number with it, but they're promoting the French language up there. So all educational materials in Quebec have to be in French.
Très bien.
Yeah.
Très bien.
Yeah, we might need you for the translation. So actually, we have a lot of our major customers that have employees in Quebec. All of their training materials have to be in French. So we're translating all of the e-learning and videos that we've done now into French, for them. So we do a lot of translations as well.
Okay, you said you had 15 employees. Did I hear that correctly?
We have
How do you do all this with 15 employees?
Well,
You're very productive.
We're productive.
Yes.
We do use some subcontractors as well.
Yeah.
But we have a great team. We have a great team of folks, of trainers that go out and account executives and the people putting all of this together.
I know many of your people, and they're all incredible.
They are
and
great people.
They're great people.
Yeah.
So tell us your origin story. How did your company get started 24 years ago?
Yeah, so, it's an interesting story. I grew up here in Iowa, in northwest Iowa. I've been here in central Iowa for longer than I've been anywhere, so I now count this as home.
Sure.
And actually, I've got my parents to move down here now,
Oh,
so
lucky
everybody's
you.
here. Everybody's kind of here. But I started down here in just corporations and worked for some great organizations down here in town, and learned from some leaders down here that a lot of people would recognize. Dave Noble from down here, and Al Jennings out at EFCO, and so a lot of great organizations here. And then I went to work for a gentleman by the name of Art Bauer out at American Media, and I worked for him for 10 years, and really he really taught me kind of that entrepreneurial spirit. And I always tell people I got to be what I called an intrapreneur, and he allowed me to start 2 businesses within his business.
Wow.
And so there was nothing better than that, because I got to learn how to start a business from scratch, and create 2 businesses that ended up being about $7 million in size.
Wow.
But using somebody else, I didn't have the risk.
That's amazing.
So, it ended up, I helped him to sell his business in the end.
Okay.
And then I had the opportunity then to say, okay, well, what do I want to do? And I had that entrepreneurial spirit, so I thought, you know what, I think I'm gonna try my hand at this. So I tried ATW, and that was 24 years ago. And we've grown from, it was just myself and a part-time employee at that point to now what we're doing here.
Well, kudos on all your success. That's a neat story.
Yeah,
and
it's a fun story.
Oh, you have a lot of amazing mentors along the way, it sounds
Absolutely.
like. So
Yeah.
that's incredible. Well, kudos on your success. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the pandemic, because crazy time.
It was.
So tell us about how that worked with your company, and how you kind of figured all that out, as we all tried to at the time. Right?
What's interesting, and I think that when you think about that training overall, training is kind of a leading indicator of where the market's going to go.
Okay.
Because when you think about what can be cut in organizations, typically they'll say marketing gets cut first, and then it's usually training. Gets cut second.
Okay.
And so obviously when you go into something like the pandemic, you look at it and say, okay, well, what's going to happen? What's going to be happening there? We were very lucky for a couple different reasons. Number one, I will state that in 2020, when everybody was having such a bad time, we had a lot of our competitors go out of business. We had a lot of our competitors were down 50 or 60%. We were only down 10%. And a couple things. Number one, I'll go back to our design services. We were able to flex, because we were doing, prior to the pandemic, we were doing 97% of what we were doing were face-to-face.
Yeah.
Talking to people. We were in classrooms, talking to people and doing things like that. And about 3% of what we were doing might have been what you would call virtual at that time, and it really wasn't even, like what we would be doing right now. But what was interesting, what happened was, one of the things we do, and I brought you a copy of it here, for the last 16 years, well, and since I've got a research background, and I'm kind of one of those data guys. And so 16 years ago, we started doing an industry survey. And so we started surveying companies here. We worked with the SHRM organization in town, and ATD, great organizations. And we survey Iowa companies, and we say, okay, what's ahead? What's going on? What are you thinking about for next year? And we do the survey. We get 150 to 200 companies to do it, so we get some good results, and then we share it with everybody. We don't sell it. We just, it's our present to everybody.
That's awesome.
Do that. In the survey, and I'm not going to tell you when, but for a second, but it came back and said that the survey came back and said that, and right now it's just foggy in my mind, but I think it was 72%, I'm almost positive, said that 72% of our workers are going to be working in some way remote next year.
Okay.
Okay? Right?
Yeah.
Now, you can see that right now.
Yeah.
We received that in 2019.
Oh.
Before the pandemic.
Really?
That was in 2019.
That's interesting.
It was interesting, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So 72% of the respondents said they were going to be having remote work. So what I'm saying is that this whole idea of the remote workplace was already on its way.
Yes, yeah.
What COVID did is it just accelerated the process. So back in 2019, when we heard that, we started already, and we started transitioning into having an offering of virtual training. Because we said, look, if 72% of that customer base is saying we're going to have remote workers, what are we going to be doing to service them? So actually what happened in March of 2020, when everybody said, we can't do anything, we were already there. We were there. And we said, it's okay, because we have our management development program already virtual. So that's what really saved us, was we didn't have to pivot. We had already pivoted back at the end of 2019.
You saw the future in a way.
Well, and to a point, and I think that's part of our success is, we try to keep a real pulse on the market and what they're doing. We have an advisory council that we meet with on a quarterly basis, where we bring in 15 or 20 customers, and we spend time with them and just talk with them and say, okay, what's going on and what do you think? And if we have ideas, we're bouncing the ideas past them. And so the pandemic has really been something where I think it's kind of a success story from us, because we've been able to not only survive it but actually thrive through it. And now we have customers. We have customers now that we have one customer now that has 2,000 employees that have absolutely no buildings. They don't have a building. No. Every single one of their employees is working from home. Really? And so we're training all 2,000 of their employees this coming year. And we're doing it very well. We're actually on what we call virtual 3.0.
Okay.
And what we were ready to do in 2020 was okay, but I think we've learned, even how to do it better. And then we're actually in 3.0.
Okay.
What can we do? Because I think there's a lot of people will say, well, face-to-face is better than virtual. And I will always tell you, face-to-face is better than virtual. And there's a lot of bad stuff out there with it. So we really work hard to have it be very engaging in what we're trying to do with them. And you can do some good stuff there.
Now, are any of your videos, because it sounds compelling, like you have a lot of leadership videos, are any of those open to the public where we can go on YouTube and kind of see some of your things?
We got some different things out there on video and YouTube and some different things
as well.
If anybody ever contacts us, we can certainly get that to them as well. But yeah, I'm one of those individuals that I'd love to share information like that.
That's amazing. That's so cool. So you obviously have built a very successful business over the last 24 years. So what do you do in your spare time? What do you have any spare time at all?
Well, some people laugh and they ask me whether I have that spare time with it. Yeah. I do like to, I'm at the time of my life now where I've got some grandkids. So just starting that next generation. So that's kind of fun. So I'm spending some time with them. But I do like to, I get involved with a lot of different community projects as well. I live out in Waukee, and I've been the president of the Waukee Betterment Foundation out there for the last 5 years. Here in town here, I do some work with Ronald McDonald House and help them with their strategy development and do some things there. And they've got a great thing going there. So I love to help out the different organizations, the YMCA as well with it. So just like to give back to the community.
Oh, I love that. So tell us more about the Waukee Betterment Association. I don't know if I'm familiar with that.
Well, so the Waukee Betterment Foundation is really, and it's kind of a misnomer. It says Waukee on it, just happens to be where it's based.
Okay.
But most people would know it for some of the projects that we've done. Okay. So the biggest project that we just did was we built the all-inclusive area out at the Triumph Park out there. So we just built a $3 million all-inclusive area, which was a $1.5 million all-inclusive playground, which is the largest ever all-inclusive playground ever built in the United States. There's only 8 of them in the United States, and Waukee has the biggest one ever built.
So neat.
It also we also built the only ADA accessible fishing pier in Dallas County out there, and that's really being used by a lot of veterans and some different things out there. And then we also built the Miracle League field out there. So,
wow.
I grew up coaching a lot of youth sports, for my kids, and to see those kids out there being able to live out some of their dreams. And not only the kids, you know, I remember we just opened the park in June. And to watch the kids and the smiles on their faces were fantastic. But I think what really kind of tugged at my heart was to watch the families, watch the kids, and to see the grandparents and the parents to almost and literally to see the tears on their faces, to see their kids out there being able to do what they've had to sit on the sidelines and watch other kids do. I think that's pretty powerful.
Thank you. Well, I didn't know about all that, and I don't know if our audience did either. So that's great to be part of those meaningful projects.
Well, we had a great team out there that did it. We had and actually Central Iowa and a lot of the West Des Moines organizations. We had 174 donors to that project. So there were a lot of the West Des Moines, Waukee, Des Moines community, the businesses that gave to that. So that was kudos to all of them to make that happen.
Such a wonderful, loving, giving place, isn't it?
It is.
This community.
Well, that's what I love about the community. And I was thinking about that before this. What do I love about West Des Moines, and what do I love about people truly do care. And it was funny. I was just doing a session yesterday for a large company out in Ankeny, and it was a strategy session. And there was a bunch of people from New Jersey in for it, and I forget what the discussion was. And they said, well, can we just say that it's Iowa nice, with it, because I think that almost to a fault sometimes that we are so nice. Here, and it is that we truly do care. And some people from outside just don't get it. With it.
It's a little shocking to them too. They're not used to that. People talking to them in the elevator. Usually you don't talk in the elevator, but we Iowans do. How are you? How's your day? So it's unusual. Well, oh my gosh, Todd, this has been eye-opening. This has been incredible. Thank you for being here.
Well,
congrats on all your success. Congrats on helping our companies grow and grow better leaders and keep great talent. So you're helping to help the entire ecosystem. So you're amazing. So thank you, Todd. Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of CEO Insights, and we hope you stay tuned for our next one. So go West.